I wanted to introduce the next session. Obviously, as you know, if you've ever heard of AMG for Mercedes, Unplugged Performance is essentially that for Tesla. And as you know, it takes a lot of pioneers to make things happen, and Unplugged has been one of those major pioneers making stuff happen. So I'm going to play a quick video for you, and then I'm going to introduce Ben and Avi. Yeah, that's the next session. Awesome. Ben and Avi, come and take a seat. Let me get you a seat. And then, so came up a second too early, if you know what I mean. But so I just want to
Too early than
introduce.
too late.
So I just want to. So if you were to describe them in like a sentence or two, they literally are the AMG of Mercedes, but to Tesla. So that's really what they're focused on. They're the world leader in premium performance Tesla upgrades. If any of you have ever seen or heard of Pikes Peak, it's probably one of the hardest race courses. They were just there about a month and a half ago. They were there. They also help run the Tesla Corsa, which essentially brings like every layman for myself to just the track and really just brings what EVs are not known for being upgraded in performance and modified, and they are essentially destroying that fallacy. So, Ben and Avi, thank you so much. Thank you for bringing those three beautiful cars all the way from Hawthorne. The dark helmet again, which was featured at Pikes Peak. With Randy driving, and then we have Omaze, which is the Von Holzen, and I think you can enter obviously to win that car. It's a Model S. So thank you guys for coming out.
Hey, thanks for having us. This is all family here, so we just love being a part of it.
Well, I'm glad a truck didn't break down. So the story is last year.
We got bad luck sometimes with
yeah,
that.
yeah. So last year they were headed to Pikes Peak, and the car broke down, or the truck broke down. But thankfully they made it, and they obviously did very well last year.
Broke down this year, too. We were so tired of last year talking about it, we didn't even say anything this year, and we just fought through
Oh
it.
my! Wow?
It was just as bad as last year.
Internal combustion trucks. Tell you.
Jeez. Okay. Well,
We need Tesla Semi
I didn't even
ASAP.
know that, but I guess the ICE cars just continue to just break down. But I just wanted to do like you guys do so much for the community. You put on Tesla Corsa. You're literally investing in the Pikes Peak yourselves. What's the origin story? Like, what got you guys started?
Yeah, so we started 23 years ago modifying cars with a parent business that we still have called Bulletproof Automotive. And we got an office building in Hawthorne next to the design studio. At the time, we were specializing in Nissan GTRs and building race cars. And then one day, a couple guys, directors from Tesla, knocked on our door. We gave them a tour of what we were doing. They liked all the crazy stuff we were doing, and they asked us what we thought about modifying a Tesla. And that simple question led to really us rethinking about where the car industry is going, what makes a fun car, what do EVs mean from a enthusiast standpoint, and from there we got a Model S P85 Plus. At that point, I was already a stockholder. I bought Tesla stock in 2012. But within a day of driving a Model S, it was very clear to all of us that this was the future, and that from an enthusiast standpoint, it would be better than anything that gasoline could offer. So, like many stories, people talk about, betting everything on Tesla stock. We bet our entire business on Tesla and the mission and EVs in general at a time where there was no one interested in even doing this. It was still so early in the cycle. No one had ever modified a Tesla or thought about racing a Tesla or even had conversations about it being a car purist's kind of car. It was a responsible choice. It was great technology, but it was not what it's become. and we wanted to create a future we were excited about and to augment Tesla's mission and do things that they didn't have the resources and time to do because they were so busy on their own mission.
Yeah, and I think companies like yourself, people like Rob, just leading the way. I mean, I don't even know how you saw back. What year was it when you first saw Tesla?
Yeah, 2013. So
Just, I
we're,
mean, nine years ago.
yeah, we're co-located next to the design center. So when we were testing the cars up and down the street, they make a lot of noise. And at that time, all the Tesla designers would come over, chat with us about tuning cars, and kind of collaborate. And they were always interested in what we could do together. So when we got behind the wheel of the car for the first time, it's very obvious that it has certain performance advantages over an ICE car. It's just so fast on the street, such strong torque and acceleration. So it's very obvious to us that it could be a fun performance car.
Yeah, and again, just huge to be able to see that in 2013, go all in on it, and literally change from going from GTRs to literally all in on Tesla. That's huge.
You got to follow the heart, and I think people are the same way with their own money and investing in Tesla stock. And you hear this, all this noise and stupidity. But if you know you're right, sometimes you got to just follow conviction. And in our case, there was no market validation. There wasn't any customer asking us for anything.
Nothing.
There wasn't any aftermarket parts we could even sell. We had to create the aftermarket from zero and make every part from scratch. Because if I was talking to someone and we wanted to upgrade brakes or suspension or aerodynamics, nobody made anything for the car. The only things that were existing were vinyl wraps and stereos. And we felt like this deserves the same enthusiast aftermarket that we were accustomed to with other cars. This deserves everything from car shows to track days to everything in between. So we were the first to bring Teslas to SEMA. We were the first to create certain community events, to host events at our office for Tesla Owners Club members, to create track day events with Tesla Corsa. Like, an ecosystem has to exist for these things to happen. And we take it for granted now because it's been so many years. But back then, it was very controversial. It wasn't so obvious. And a lot of people, took me aside and said, "You're crazy. Why are you taking every dollar you have and putting it into this when no one wants it? No one's asking you to do it." But conviction's an amazing thing, and when you believe in something, you can see it materialize over time. It took a while, but the world has changed.
Yeah, totally. So for those that are not familiar with the kind of car culture, why is doing this performance enhancements, upgrades important to car culture, or just in general for EVs and Tesla?
I've had fortunate timing in my life where I was always a car enthusiast, but I found myself on the set of the first Fast and the Furious movie back 23 years ago, and I found myself early stages of what became racing culture for Japanese cars, whether it was the origins of drifting, the origins of time attack, the origins of all Japanese car tuning. So I watched a movement grow, and I was an active participant in that movement. And during that time, you start to realize the things you love about community and how those things form. And when you see it form from a ground level, you can kind of understand the chemistry of it and what elements it takes to become real. So when we wanted to see that happen, we had to be the catalyst for it. And the catalyst for it is you need certain things to build a level of excitement. And some of those things are superficial, but are still enjoyable. Like, we knew that no matter how great a car handled, it had to look definably different and awesome to make someone even have a conversation. So we started right away. We hired a guy from Ferrari's F1 team and a guy from Boeing, and we started manufacturing carbon fiber and built our own, did our own shaping and our own molds and our own manufacturing all in-house to build the first aero kit for a Model S. And then we did a 22-wheel package, 22-inch wheels to make the car look exciting. We lowered it, and we brought it to an event called TMC Connect back in late 2013. It was the first modified car anyone had seen. And the point is just starting a conversation. Our business model now, we're not just style, we're substance. Our cars are definably faster. We race on racetracks around the world, and we hold lap records everywhere we go. But in the beginning, you have to create a conversation, and not everyone cares about lap times. They just want to say, "Oh, that looks interesting. I want to learn more." So you got to start with just creating the dialogue and then building community. We created the first Facebook group back then for modified cars. We created local events at our office. We created Tesla Corsa events. You realize the ecosystem that has to exist for this. The stuff you guys are doing is a vital part. Without all of these things, community doesn't build. And it takes every element to fuse together, and it took a while before it got momentum.
So when you started the Unplugged, were you thinking always community? I mean, because again, you run Tesla Corsa. I was in Austria and they were talking about it. They're just they love adrenaline. I mean, Red Bull's from there. They're running on adrenaline, and so they're all performance nuts, and they're speaking highly of this. And so, what is it like about your vision of the community that you've kind of married together with this passion for performance?
First of all, I would make a statement that might be controversial for some. I think community is more valuable than the car itself. I think community is what makes life interesting and exciting. It's relationships, it's life experiences. And enjoying a car and not being able to talk about it or share those moments is an existence that's not nearly as interesting to me as sharing with others and having these conversations and at times debates over what we like better, one thing versus another. That's what inspires me. And community without that is worthless as far as I'm concerned. And most of what we do is to create stories to build community. Lap times and things like that don't matter to me more than they do that I can create a conversation with someone who never thought about a car a certain kind of way. When we started doing this, bringing cars to SEMA and bringing cars to racetracks, and everyone talked a bunch of trash against us and thought we shouldn't be here with these cars, what I was fighting for was a conversation. And when we have the press we have now, where we have a Model 3 that can run faster than a Porsche GT3 RS, it's a controversial statement, but the statement is I want to have a conversation about how this is even possible. When we go to Pikes Peak and race against open wheel cars that are half the weight of us and we're faster than them, we race against Porsche factory cars that cost $2 million and we're faster than them, I don't care about the competition. What I care about is I want the dialogue. I want people to understand that an EV can do this and you can have a future that's sustainable and not compromise anything. No compromise. That's really important to have that dialogue, and you have to make that reality. You can't just shout it without substance. You have to actually do it.
Yeah, I mean, just being able to show what you guys showcase literally at every event that you go to, it just demands that, right? Just the respect is demanded from the
Yeah,
performance.
and I think we've always tried to be part of the overall car enthusiast community. So, we do these Tesla events as well because the Tesla community is awesome, but trying to be at the places where hardcore gearheads and guys that have a lot of experience with cars it's really important because we have to show that Teslas can do this. And yeah, they don't make sound. Sure, they don't have a stick shift, but the qualities that do make the car fun to drive, we try to bring those out and we try to show people what they can do.
Totally. What is it like? So you guys have done so much for the community. You guys have taken things to the next level. Literally, again, cars you're saying like $2 million. You're demanding the respect, having the conversations they're having. But what is it like to work with the guy who's designed and made the car, Franz, right? I know he's a customer. I think you posted a photo about a month ago. He was in for his Model 3. What is it like to design or to work on the car from the guy who designed it?
I've had somewhat similar experiences in my past life with Japanese cars. I became very close and worked closely with the head designer for the GTR, Tamura-san. I was involved in some of the planning conversations with Tada-san, who made the '86 Toyota. So I understand a lot of the thought process that goes through manufacturers and designers, and I share a lot of similar interests. So conversationally, it's very comfortable because we all want the same thing. We all have an ideal outcome that we want from an experience of a car. But it's very different when you're making parts for a car and you're modifying the car of the designer who made it. That's very personal and scary, and it's a gigantic honor, and it's amazing and terrifying, and it's a blessing that the Model 3 is by many definitions one of the best cars ever designed and ever made, and we're working on the designer's car and the first car. The red car that Franz drives that we're working on is a car that was in all the original press, and everyone knows that car. At least we do. So to work on that is a very, very deeply moving opportunity, and I didn't expect we'd be in that spot. He actually came to us originally as a customer very silently, and he put our springs on his car and he lowered it. So back when everyone saw a lowered car that looked cool, we just kept our mouths shut and just admired from a distance. Because one of the challenges is we have to have a deep respect for privacy. We're used to NDAs. We have NDAs with all these companies we're talking about, and you don't want to overstep. So on the one hand, we're bursting with pride when we see Franz driving his car and we know our parts are on it. On the other hand, it's difficult to imagine having that level of pride and saying absolutely nothing when you see that in conversations for 3 or so years. And it was only recently that Franz said, hey, talk about it. Like, you don't need to keep this private. I'm proud of it. Talk about it. I'll back you up. And that gave us cover to be able to actually start to share some of these stories, which means a lot. I mean, to be honest, I don't care if I took it to the grave. It was still very special. But man, when someone designs the perfect car and allows you to get to play with it and do some things and they enjoy that and come back for more, it's so special. There aren't really words that can describe that.
Can you share what your favorite upgrade on Franz's car was?
All of it.
Anything specific? I know you shared a little bit.
I mean, he's got the full suspension brake package now, and he's a car enthusiast at the end of the day. So, he has a lot of background in performance cars, and he pushes the car pretty hard. And it's great to get his feedback. He loves it.
Can't get better validation than the guy that validates every part on the car to begin with. Like everything on that car, he validated. So the fact that he's even driving our stuff, validating it, coming back for more, and telling his friends and family to order from us, that's it. Like that's the game for us. Everything we do is to make these guys happy because they inspire us. Like we don't exist without them. So if we can add any amount of value back, it makes our lives rewarding on a level that you can't even measure.
I would say drop the mic, but not really, if you know what I mean. So what do you think is like, so you started Tesla Corsa. I think I've at least been seeing those events going for the past 2 to 3 years. Obviously, now you're taking internationally. Where do you see that headed? Partially, what was the story behind that as well?
I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of the modifications can best be enjoyed on the track where you're not going to get in trouble. You're going to be safe. People are sometimes scared to go to the track, but it's much safer than driving on the highway. No one's going to run into you. No one's going to crash into you head on. You can really push the car. You don't have to worry about the cops behind you or with a speed gun on you. So it's actually like one of the best places to really get to know the car and have fun with it. And Teslas are really special as a track car because people don't realize, like, if you take a Porsche or GTR or BMW, you go to the track, you spend a lot of money fixing the car. You can break stuff, you're changing all the fluids, there's a lot of consumables, it's very expensive. Tesla, pretty much, you just show up, drive home, no drama, nothing's going to break. We definitely recommend at least upgrading your brake fluid, but you can get out there with a totally stock car, have a great time, be safe, and not do any damage to your car, will not break the bank, and that's really special. If you take your Porsche GT2 RS out there, you're going to go just as fast, but you're going to pay way more. So Teslas are awesome, they're durable, and it's just a great way to use the car that you've already paid for.
There's another side to this, which is a common thread for all of us. None of this is revolutionary. There's been track day events, there's been race cars, there's been lap records. The thing is, the Tesla that we all know and love doesn't have time for this. That's the bottom line. It's not like we can do it better than Tesla. We're not trying to have that argument. What we're saying, which should be obvious to anyone who's a shareholder, is Tesla is so busy on ramping production that they don't have the bandwidth to focus on these things that other companies do. So when you talk about Tesla Corsa, let's look at competitors. AMG has track events and driving schools. BMW M does. All the things we're doing follow a recipe of what great car manufacturers typically do to build their brand and to get people excited and energized, but are not number 1, 2, 3, or 5,000 on Tesla's list. They're busy working on bots and all kinds of crazy things in the future. They don't have time to deal with Tesla Corsa events or Pikes Peak. We have a partner at the Nürburgring, and we own a car out there that we develop on that's out racing every week. All the things we're doing are traditional. Any big car manufacturer has a location at the Nürburgring. They have a budget and they race in Pikes Peak. They go around and they have race cars and they do these events. Tesla's not going to do it. That's our lane, and we're here to add value to their mission. And the fact that we can do the inefficient things that, when I talk to them, they give me a thumbs up and a smile. Like, that's great. That's the relationship, is we're doing the stuff that we love. And I'm sure they'd love to do it too, but it takes their eye off the ball, which is they got to make cars for everybody. And a lot of people owe a lot of cars, so they always feel the pressure to make more faster. And that's why, by the way, that's why the aftermarket is great. When we started, there were all kinds of color options for Model S's. Now it's like, it's turning into the original days of Ford where you can have, one thing. That's it. You get a black Model T or whatever and you're done. Like, it's streamlining, and they have to. I understand why they do it. But when we offer things like, bamboo leather interiors from von Holzhausen and people, comment on there and say, well, Tesla offer this. I don't think so. They don't have time. they got to make these cars faster and faster and faster. So the idea that they would make more variations and more custom work, like Tesla's specialty is to make the car as fast as they can, and our specialty is make the car very, very an artisan, old school, slow way. We'll take 6 months to make a car if we have to. They want to do it in 10 seconds.
Yeah, and I think you actually just hit on like the importance of Unplugged, right? As we know, Tesla is just so busy doing mass production, getting EVs on the road, getting ICE cars off. And it's awesome that you guys one have found your lane, but it's also how you guys are married to the community. So I think you just hit on like I feel like the summary of the whole thing, right, is literally why you're here and what you're doing. And so I'm gonna hit you with one other question: is where do you see Tesla Performance going in the next 5 years?
You know, the cars are just so much more capable every year. When we started Tesla Corsa, our first track day event, the Model 3, I believe it either just come out or barely. It was almost all Model S's. And back then, you got about a minute of fun before the car would basically just overheat and throw up its hands on you. And then the Model 3 got incrementally better. And then I remember when we had a very, very early Model S Plaid at Laguna Seca, and Randy was really the first person even giving us feedback. And he was blown away that the car was as fast, you know, with a half state of charge and less than it was on the first lap. No one was used to that. You discover these technology breakthroughs that impact motorsports and impact all this stuff. And it's just inevitable that progress moves forward. It's inevitable that the next generation, never mind the Roadster, the next generation or of whatever, of battery technology or cooling, of all these components will get better and better and better. And already it's an unfair advantage racing against gasoline-powered cars because already they're so fast. Already, like, you know, we jokingly call our race car the heavyweight champ because it's a heavy, heavy car. It's a four-door sedan that is mass-produced for daily driven use, and we're beating up these purpose-built race cars. It's not even fair. So we're getting to a point. The next 5 years, I guess, at a very strange level. At a certain point in physics, the car might be faster than our bodies can actually handle, in terms of just like pain of acceleration, in terms of just reaction time. And if I had to make a prediction, I would say that the Roadster, if it's as fast as it can be, they'll probably have to augment technology to overcome driver limitations in a very, very deep degree because the cars will become so fast that drivers won't be prepared to handle them. Already it's that way.
That's insane, especially the Roadster with the SpaceX package. I mean, potentially could fly a little bit. First off, thank you, Ben and Avi. Thank you also bearing with us on some of the technical difficulties. But thank you so much for coming up all the way here. Thank you for all you do for the performance of Tesla in general, for knowing kind of what your lane is and really taking it to the next level, for all you do on the Tesla community. We may be doing something with them next year, Tesla Corsa related, so definitely feel free. Stay tuned on that. For our club members, we're going to probably go to Buttonwillow or something. But I really appreciate all you do. Make sure, literally, their tent is right over there. Check out the dark helmet. Again, this thing destroys ICE cars. Omaze as well. Two or three beautiful cars. But yeah, go ahead.
I'd just say that the Omaze White S Apex over there is a charity auction, so you guys can go on Omaze's site. You can donate to charity. I think we've already raised close to $200,000 for good causes, and yeah, it's cool. You guys can win that car. So come on over, check it out, make a donation.
I just wanted to say one quick thing. Oh, by the way, one thing that I thought was funny with the Pikes Peak car, Franz called it the ice melter, which I liked.
That's a good one.
But yeah, you know, one thing I want to say, you've been very kind to us and have said a lot of nice things about our efforts. I want to say that we don't exist without community, and the community is whether anyone ever buys something from us or not is not the point. The point is it's positive energy and inspiration. Like I know what it felt like for years, you know, throwing money at something that had no customers and how alone we felt at times when there wasn't community. And I'll always value the fact that we talk to people and they say that they love our work. Maybe they're a customer, maybe not. Like when times are hard, which no matter how good you're doing, times are always hard. You always go through moments. This is the stuff that keeps us going. Our events like this, conversations that we have, general goodwill, and it's never forgotten. And we do this for the community. Like it's a relationship that has to coexist. And without the community, we're wasting our lives. Like it's really all for the community.
Yeah, and thank you. Last year, I remember I hit up Ben and Avi. I was like, hey, I think we're gonna throw this Tesla Takeover. Can you bring a car or something? And without batting an eye, they just jumped in. So this is our second year with you guys. Thank you so much for all you do for this Tesla Takeover, the community. Really excited to be watching on the sidelines, just seeing what you guys do, and obviously, and even with Tesla Corsa being maybe on the track with you guys as well.
Thank you so much.
You.
Yeah, thank you guys. Ben and Avi, Unplugged Performance.